I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. The New York judge who's presiding over the lawsuit filed by New York Attorney General Letitia James against Donald Trump Judge Arthur Engoron ordered the parties to appear in his courtroom today. It was a dramatic court appearance, and the reason for this is that this follows a letter brief that was filed yesterday by New York Attorney General Letitia James's office asking for an immediate status conference with the court because the New York Attorney General's office was going to file a motion for sanctions against Donald Trump, against his adult children, against the Trump organization for filing a fraudulent answer to the complaint that the New York Attorney General's office filed against those entities which initiated the lawsuit, including facts that New York Attorney General Letitia James said, look, these are absolutely false statements that they're putting in this answer, and here's how we know it. We've got deposition testimony from Donald Trump and his adult children and other matters where they're saying the exact opposite things they've put in this document, and in addition, they are saying they don't have the information to respond to things, so they can't admit or deny the allegations when they clearly have control over the information. For example, where the Trump organization is located, who are the executives at the Trump organization, who controls various entities. And New York Attorney General Letitia James points out Donald Trump and his adult children claim they don't have the answers to those questions, and clearly they should know who works at the company, who runs the companies. And the reason Trump and his adult children are trying not to answer is that they are required to file what's called a verified answer, which is under penalty of perjury, and they don't want to have to admit to the crimes that they are being charged with. And so the Judge Arthur Engoron, compelled the parties to show up in court. It was a dramatic court appearance, a total of 13 lawyers combined from the New York Attorney General's side, in addition to the lawyers representing Donald Trump, because this is a big lawsuit. This is a bet the corporation lawsuit for the Trump organization, because in addition to seeking at least $250 million in damages in this lawsuit, the New York Attorney General's office would also seek injunctive relief that basically would shut down the Trump organization from conducting business in New York, which would be the death knell for the Trump organization. And so you had the same general people showing up for the parties in terms of the lawyers. You had Kevin Wallace and the team that's always been showing up for the Attorney General's office. On the side of Donald Trump, you had Christopher Kise, the lawyer who used to be the Solicitor General in Florida, who was paid about $3 million from Donald Trump's Save America political action organization, and who also is a agent of Venezuela. You had some new additions to Trump's team. Specifically, Trump hired someone who used to work at the Attorney General's office, a new lawyer on the scene, and a few other lawyers. Who was not present was Alina Habba, and we also learned, and I'll do another video hit on this, that Alina Habba has also been removed from the E. Jean Carroll case where she was defending Donald Trump in that action. E. Jean Carroll was recently sanctioned with Donald Trump at least $1 million in the lawsuit that Donald Trump filed in Florida in federal court before Judge Donald Middlebrooks. So clearly, Donald Trump is turning on Alina Habba, throwing her under the bus for these sanctions, and clearly doesn't want Alina Habba anywhere near this courtroom for these types of proceedings where Donald Trump's entire corporation and Donald Trump's business life is on the line. The judge basically said, look, I want this to be resolved. If there has to be sanctions, there could be sanctions, but I prefer to avoid sanctions where there could be resolution. And he says, look, though, in my 30 plus year career as a lawyer and a judge, I've never seen, quote from Judge Engoron, I've never seen an answer that was completely incoherent and long-winded and bizarre and just having frivolous objections that I've seen here. And the judge said, look, sanctions are messy, controversial. I'm hoping we can reach a resolution, but if I have to get there, I'm going to get there. But what the judge said is, whatever we do today, I am determined to start trial on October 2nd, 2023, come hell or high water, and pardon my French, Judge Arthur Engoron said. He said, quote, in my 35 years practicing law, I have never, ever seen a pleading like the one that the defendants in this action filed with such excess verbiage as the 300 or so page answer of the 15 or so answers that were filed in this complaint. Assistant Attorney General Kevin Wallace got up to speak and say, exactly, look, what they are trying to do is delay. It should be so obvious, the tactics here. And then Trump's lawyer, Natalina Haba, who just screams at Judge Arthur Engoron and has made completely just humiliated herself in the courtroom. You had Christopher Kise representing Trump, at least had the wherewithal to basically say, look, let's figure out how we can address this. Let's figure this out. And then the judge basically responded, look, maybe if we get to how you want to address it, let's figure out what the discrepancies are and fix this, Judge Arthur Engoron said. And one of the things that Christopher Kise tried to argue, so we get a sense of what Donald Trump's defenses are going to be. And it's so interesting because it completely contradicts what Eric Trump's lawyer said. And so one of the things that Eric Trump's lawyers basically said is, look, one of the examples in the complaint is it says that a Trump organization subsidiary, Seven Springs LLC, bought a property at this specific value. And the lawyer for Eric Trump, named Clifford Robert, basically says Seven Springs is not a subsidiary. It is actually part of the Trump organization. Now, Christopher Kise, Trump's lawyer, then says the exact opposite here. And Kise says, quote, no entities called the Trump Organization are actually a party to any of these transactions. So their argument is basically going to be Trump operates all of these shell companies and the Trump Organization is not really a thing. It's just this parent company that doesn't enter into contracts. Now, in my career as a lawyer, I've seen defendants try to make this argument, and it is a pathetic argument that is often laughed out of court, almost always by the judge, which says, okay, someone's responsible for this bad conduct. You don't get to say parent company doesn't enter into contracts, so therefore everybody gets away with the unlawful or improper conduct. Let me know who the real parties are, and you can't just run these sham shell companies. And so if this is the argument that Christopher Kise is going to make, that the Trump Organization isn't real, it's not a real thing, I think that is going to be a very defective argument. So then what happened was the court took a brief recess. Again, lots of drama in the courtroom taking place. The court takes a recess. Donald Trump's lawyers get the message loud and clear from the judge, and they basically tap out because, look, when you confront them the way New York Attorney General Letitia James does and not let them get away with it, they're weak. They back down. That is what they always do. So during the break, they basically said, look, we got it. We're going to go fix our answer. We'll make this right. They got the message from Judge Arthur Engoron, and we'll file a new document in the next 3 to 5 days or so to try to avoid sanctions here. We agree to voluntarily change the document. But let's be clear, one of the most important things here is that the judge overseeing the matter, Arthur Engoron, is basically saying, look, we are not moving that trial date. So if all of this is a delay tactic, his words, come hell or high water, this case is going to trial the first week of October, and I see exactly what you're doing. Final reflection point I want to make here, though, is kudos to New York Attorney General Letitia James' office her deputy AG Kevin Wallace, and frankly, shame on Donald Trump's lawyers, including this new lawyer that they have. I think his name is Moriano, who used to work at the AG's office, who's now sold his soul to defend Donald Trump here. And they basically were trying to drag this out. They were trying to delay. And here you basically had the New York Attorney General's office saying, no, we're calling you out immediately for these bad faith tactics. We're holding your feet to the fire right here, and we're going to trial, and we want to let the judge know immediately, because if New York Attorney General Letitia James didn't do that, what would they do? The Trump would continue to file these things, and then they would blame the New York AG's office and say, oh, well, they didn't object. They didn't say this wasn't good. Now they want to raise these issues. So this is the only way you keep the trains on tracks in a litigation against Donald Trump. I'm now going to do a legal hit as well on the fact that Alina Habba, Trump's lawyer, seems to be fired. MAGA, make attorneys get attorneys. And I wouldn't be surprised if the state bar starts to investigate her and she loses her legal license. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit the subscribe button. We are on our way to 1 million subscribers thanks to your incredible support. Please hit subscribe now. It is free to subscribe. In addition to hitting subscribe here, check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. You will love the exclusive content we have on Patreon, but most importantly, it helps grow this platform. So make sure you sign up there. Until next time, I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network.
Our blue wall stopped the red wave and election deniers got denied election. That's why we're celebrating with the new Democracy Prevails team. We've got lots of work to do, but we should all be proud that when democracy was tested, democracy prevailed. You've earned this. Don't wait. Get yours right now at store.meidastouch.com. That's store.meidastouch.com.